Welcome back to AI 575 with Arrow. This is the Deep Freeze, which is Frozen Valley, forwards and backwards. So here my aim point's the bottom of the bottom arrow on, there's like 3 tiers of leaves there coming out of that tree on the right. And then it's pretty much a straight pullback, full send. I might use the light glide, roll glide, or... Oh my god. Oh, so close. I forgot how close that initial run was. But yeah, it really is just wind dependent and whether or not I'm trying to give it a true run or park it as close as I can to the basket. In this case, I've started using the Roll Glide Ballista Pro for this shot lately because you can get enough distance to make it onto the ice, but then you're more likely to stick onto the island after. So here I use, I guess, Light Glide Ballista Pro. But again, this is wind dependent. I'm really trying to make it as close to that tree as I just passed and as far on this right side of this ice as possible. This worked out just about perfectly. But again, I think the Roll Glide Ballista Pro is ultimately a safer bet if you're going to make that play. Some people will take more like a ballista to like the edge of the bank, so before the ice even begins, and that's a pretty reliable birdie play. If you take this play though, you can have you can see you can have a shot at eagle. It's a far shot. I mean, this is as difficult as an ace, but with the tree in the way. And I think this would have been a decent line, except I didn't get as far as like power goes in terms of height of the disc, but I didn't get the right line in terms of the right to left. I needed to be a little bit further right to miss that tree. And then 51 feet for the throw in, pretty routine there. Let's see, for Frozen Valley 3, okay, so I don't think that taking the right edge here is a reliable play for eagle, so I'm using the bottom of the top arrow. There's like a spot where the ice starts, like at the other side of this, like a tiny little mini lake there. I needed to be a little bit further to the right there to really hit this line, because if you do get further to the right, like I didn't do, and I just barely stay in bounds, man. That's another one, it's like so close. So then here, because I'm so early in the run, I decide to just run it. And I'm pretty sure in this headwind, an accurate windbreak river isn't going to make it, especially with the slightly elevated basket. So I'm using an accurate windbreak musket, and I'm not going to do a full power shot. But the main consideration here, so I'm not quite full power, and a little bit of hyzer to counter the 3 wind. So it's a little bit too much hyzer and a little bit too much power. But my main consideration was I didn't want to like leave that shot short and effectively kill the run. At this point, I was kind of just experimenting. I think the easier way is to eagle 3 and 4 if you're trying to go for your max score, 3 and or 4. So if you're trying to birdie that last hole, then I think you want to just hug the right line here. So here, I'm using the bottom of the top arrow, right where the ice ends and the snow begins in the distance. This is a pretty good line, and I prefer to use the glide wind recoil, and then I get super lucky in that and that I wasn't an OB there. So that was pretty ideal, but I think on the back 9 I have a better executed shot on this hole, so hopefully I can show you guys that when we come back around to this. But I'm always trying to eagle 3, 4, and 5 every single time, regardless of wind, when I'm grinding for the shot. Here, I'm splitting the distance between the left side of the disc and the left side of the Anheuser marker Wi-Fi curves. That worked out like, I mean, this is one of the best drives I've had on this hole ever. But there's an aim spot. My aim spot was the bottom of the bottom arrow on that, and you can use the navigation markers to go back the timestamps. But this leaves me with 113 feet. This is, I think, the best look I've ever had on this hole, so I was feeling determined to hit it. And then, again, like I always do, when I can see it, I'm using the bottom of the top band as my aim point. Then I'm treating it like it's about a 9,500 foot throw. I guess I erred more on the side of like about 100 feet because I was worried I was going to leave it short. And then you're always just doing this dance of like, I mean, it really is a tiny difference whether or not you're gonna hit chains or you're gonna leave it too low or high. I mean, the number of times you can hit the cage or top band is just, you know, I'm sure you guys all know. But I was stoked to hit that. Felt like I made up the miss on 3 since I missed my line with the glide wind recoil on Frozen Valley 3. So here I just lowered the initial aiming point a little bit, full send with the accurate windbreak musket. This again is wind dependent. If I get a right to left wind, I'm less likely to use the accurate windbreak musket. I need to develop an ace line, preferably a forehand line, so I can take a shot at the basket, but then still have this runway behind it. But I just haven't developed that yet. But that would allow for really maximizing a Frozen Valley or Deep Freeze score. Here my aim point's going to be the bottom of the top green arrow, slider all the way to the right. Then there's a tree in the far distance. There's like a row of 3 trees. I was aimed in between that one and this tree on my left. And this, oh yeah, sneaks through the wall. Man, so much luck on this front 9 so far. That's awesome though. I mean, you know, better to be lucky than good. So 42 feet in a 2 wind. That's routine putting distance there. Sometimes I like to aim a little bit further up if I'm worried that I'm not going to make it far enough. And there's like, once you get to like 40 feet, I don't think you have to really adjust the aim point very often if you're below 40. Here I'm bottom of the top green arrow in a horizontal line with the bottom of the bubble, a little bit to the right of the bubble. And that worked out pretty well. You can see the Roll Glide Ballista Pro, I think, is perfect for ace run on Frozen Valley 8. And that leaves me with 67 feet. And oh yeah, I think this is how I messed up my 12. Gosh dang it. Oh no, I didn't. Oh, okay, that wasn't. I think it was a different. There was another time where I had a shot at getting a 12 under because I had gotten the Eagles on 3, 4, and 5. Here, my aim point is the bottom of the bottom arrow. I'm in a horizontal line with like one of the red, fence post things. And I'm really hugging the Mando super tight. So now, especially because of how tight that was, I prefer to go fairly wide on the Mando. There's more experimentation I can do certainly on this hole to get a more reliable drive line for this. But and then my main thing that I was worried about here, well, I really wasn't worried about this tree on the left. I didn't think that the putter would go too far to the right here, but I hit one of these branches. So that was my first like kind of unlucky thing. But then it's followed up with an immediately lucky thing. But I was trying to give that one a proper run because I was like, I might as well go for the 12. I think at this point that I'm aware of, 12 under is the course record on Frozen Valley. So I was like, I mean, I'm on the last one. It's a long shot, but I might as well try for it. And yeah, that worked out just great. So hopefully on the back 9 I can show a little bit more reliable lines that are actually dependable and usable. So here, Glide Skip Ballista Pro again. Yeah, you can see I'm at the bottom of one of those red fence posts. Full send with a Glide Skip Ballista Pro. No hyzer or anhyzer. It's just straight pullback. And yeah, once again, I must have been really flirting with trying to hug this Mando as tight as possible. Man, on both times, I almost hit the fence there. So, and then I get a lucky roll. Oh yeah, I remember. I was like, oh, if you guys have seen those videos, I was like, come on, roll down the hill, roll down the hill. Now, my main consideration here, especially after I hit the tree, just last hole, was not hitting this fence in front of me. I'd never been right next to it, so I didn't know if I was going to get a collision if I tried too low for the shot. So ideally, if I didn't have the fence in front of me or the beginning of the hill, I would aim lower and just take more of a direct shot. So I'm trying to kind of loft this in. But again, my main consideration is just don't hit the fence right in front of me. Don't hit the hill right in front of me. You already have an 11 to start. So I'd rather miss this shot short, which is what I do. And in general, if I'm doing downhill shots, I try to err on the side of going not enough power rather than I'd prefer to miss short and then kind of have a closer comebacker than sail past and have a harder comebacker. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And that's just anytime you're feeling unsure about how it's going to go down. I think you want to pick a direction to air in. Air left, air right, air high, air low, whatever it is. Here I'm doing the bottom of the top arrow at the bottom of the bubble. And I decided to disc down to an accurate glide musket because I wasn't sure how that 3 wind was going to affect the Roll Glide Ballista Pro. So that worked out perfect. And I think that's going to be my go-to line anytime I get that like left to right crosswind. I prefer to do the ace runs either in a wind of 1 wherever it's pointing or in the right to left crosswind because then it'll push me back onto the platform as opposed to off the cliff. So here I think I'm doing the same thing as before, although not quite full power with the Roll Glide Ballista Pro, and you can see this is a much better drive. But again, I think my aim point was about the same. There's this tree right here on the far right. That's the one that I'm talking about. I'm like on the bank of like where the snow turns into the trees, and I'm in between that tree and the very first tree. You can go back and get a visual if you're looking for a spot. Here, because it's a left to right wind, I just barely lower the initial aim point, full send with an accurate windbreak musket, and that's going to work out pretty good. Even if you end up behind one of those 3 trees I just kind of sailed through, they're really easy to get around for a putt, so pretty routine there. But yeah, I want to develop an ace line for this hole because I think it's going to help with maximizing scores. So here, I slider all the way to the right every time. Bottom of the bottom arrow is there's like a little rock on the ground there. And then you can see I'm splitting the distance between the edge of the Wi-Fi curves and the left side of the disc. And the main consideration is getting on the right side of those rocks. Otherwise, you can get trapped behind that group of trees that the rocks are right next to. But if you get onto this area, you have a shot at eagle, and I mean, that's about all you can hope for realistically. So I was considering using the fuse. I can't remember if I actually did with the 2 wind. Sometimes I'll use either the accurate glide. Okay, yeah, so I switched to the accurate glide pier here. And in that case, I was doing the bottom of the middle arrow at the bottom of the bubble, trying to put just a teensy bit of a hyzer, maybe like the tiniest little scotch ever. And, oh my gosh. It hurts all over again. That was so close. But I mean, it's like a hurt that's like exciting at the same time, because you're like, man, I almost just made a 204-foot eagle save. That would have been amazing. Okay, here I think you're going to see a reliable line that I use here. It's the bottom of the top green arrow. I'm just a little bit to the left of that tree in the background, but you can see again, I'm right at the point where the ice meets the snow in the distance. Full send with a glide wind recoil, and this works out just perfectly. You get the reliable fade from the recoil at the end of its line. Sometimes you'll get a little bit too much turn on the initial drive, so that's something you got to get used to, but I mean, that's perfect execution of this hole, so I'm glad I was able to at least show you guys that. And yeah, I just prefer the recoil to ballista on this line. I know some people use muskets instead. That's pretty good too, and you're less likely to go OB, I think, when you do that. So here I prefer is my right to left wind line. It's the middle of the bottom of the middle arrow. There's a little rock on the ground again, and there's a sheet of ice that goes right into the rock. There's like a little triangle created there. That was my aim point. Full send with a Glide Skip Ballista Pro, and I'm really flirting with going out of bounds on the water's edge. But I prefer this line for the most part, and if you're playing for birdie, certainly, because if you do go OB on the left here, you have a much better shot at being able to save birdie and or par than if you go all the way back to the very beginning because you were playing with the ice sheets like I did in the front nine. So with for 172 feet, I'm thinking I got to run this. I mean, I think the tournament record at this point was 22 down. So I already have the 11. I already got that eagle on 4. I'm coming close to the end here. So I'm like, I'm going to run this. There's a little rock on the right side behind the basket that I'm hoping will act as a little backstop if I miss this shot. So familiarizing yourself with all of the little mini obstacles that can help keep you in bounds is going to prove to be pretty helpful to be aware of your surroundings as much as you can be. And there I get my little mini backstop. I think I had the right amount of power there, but just not quite the right line. And yeah, in general, I've been working on 150 to 200 feet throw-ins to kind of take my throwing game to the next level. So I'll try to say more about distance markers when I'm doing those kinds of throw-ins in the future. Here, I am using a Light Glide Ballista Pro. Oh, okay, and I am going to take this over to the bank shot. Yeah, I didn't want to... I think that the playing for the island shot is the riskier play. So I decided to go conservative here to make sure that I'm not messing up this run. And I'm like, you know what, I just want to try to close out this, 21 down. So then you have a nice wide open plane here. And I think my aim point for that last one is the bottom of the middle arrow. I'm kind of like on the side of one of the cliff walls there. Not cliff, but rock walls. And then you're just trying to make sure that, especially with a right to left wind, I guess 3 main considerations: don't hit the tree, don't go too far to the left, and put enough anhyzer that you're going to counter the wind effectively. I wish that the bounce on the ice was still a thing. I mean, that would have been a much better and probably farther shot. But that was a pretty good follow up. What is it, an upshot yet? Just another drive, I guess. So then now I've got 499 feet, and I'm thinking of doing a little bit of like a flex shot here. Just enough Anheuser. Again, main considerations is not hitting that stump that I'm aimed next to. But then that row of trees on the right, I'd rather air to the left and still have a manageable throw-in for me that'll be like a downhill throw-in, then get collision with those trees on the right, and then possibly have like a 130 plus throw-in. So at this point, from 499 feet, I'm thinking as long as I can get inside of 100 feet, I think I can stick this. And then I get a failed skid. That was so lame. So here I am at 130 feet like I didn't want to be. And I got, oh man, in this 2-wind, it's not a gimme. But I'm aiming at the bottom of the top band on the right side of the basket. And accurate windbreak few. So you can see I'm about half the width of the first Wi-Fi curve below it. That's about my marker for 130 feet. And then it's just about whether or not the wind is going to affect it because it's a headwind or a tailwind. Those will be micro adjustments, and they'll be like the difference of sometimes it's as small as like accounting for 5 feet, sometimes less, where you're like, oh, this is like my aim point for 127 feet. So it gets super specific inside of, especially up to about 130 feet. Then for me, my aim points get I guess a little bit less specific, but I'm starting to develop like a specific aim point guide all the way to like 200 feet. So maybe at some point I'll post a throw-in guide as well. Orange Pie's got a really good ultimate guide to throw-ins on his channel. I think Sasha Garrett's also has, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, also has a throwing guide on his channel. So those are worth checking out if you're feeling like you need help with throw-ins, but I'll try to post one as well. Here I'm doing a full send with the Roll Glide Ballista Pro, and I think I was trying to ace this. I was thinking, if I miss this ace, and I just, way out too far to the right, hit this group of rocks and that works out. But I like running Frozen Valley 1 every single time I play this tournament or course, not only because you can restart it fairly easily, really easily, especially if you're doing Challenge the Valley, but also because I think you get a lot of good practice that no matter where you end up on the drive, if you're even within like a 100-foot radius of the basket, you can start to develop a really confident sense of being able to drain a putt no matter where you end up. So 21 down, I feel good about that. I think it's like the second best tournament record on this so far. So if I can improve this with a 22 or better, I'll post that as well. And hopefully it'll be a shorter video as well. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.